Before we get into today's video, there's just a couple of things that I wanted to share. First off, we're going to be doing a giveaway. Since I made this 3D set, I no longer need these 3D doors that I got with my Kickstarter edition. And so I'm going to be giving away these doors to anyone who is currently a subscriber, as well as makes a comment in the comment section below. I will be doing a drawing at the end of this month, June of 2020. The other thing that I wanted to do was just to give a shout out to Brent from Goobertown Hobbies. He came out with a video talking about Black Lives Matter and the reason for his support for the movement that's been happening here in the United States. I just respect him a lot for having the courage to come out with that. I know that he lost subscribers and some support, but I am thankful that he took a risk like that and gave a really thoughtful response, I feel like, in a way that hopefully will make the gaming community more welcoming to minority groups. And so if you haven't seen that video, go ahead and click here. And I just respect him so much for being willing to take a stand like that. So let's go ahead and dive in. The set is called Starcrawler, and I found it just by Googling. I was looking for a 3D board for Zombicide Invader. If you haven't seen my video for how I made 3D walls for Zombicide Black Plague, again, click here. But I was looking for something that I would be able to print out really quickly on my 3D printer, and I think this was a great solution. Because there's a couple of quirks with this game that has certain requirements for the walls, and I think Starcrawler addresses those issues really, really well. First off is that the rooms are not uniform. So what Joe and Colin, the producers of Starcrawler, did was they created 3 different sizes of walls so that it accommodates the different size rooms in this game. Also, one of the quirks is that when the mold starts spreading, it destroys any of the walls, partition walls in between rooms. And so you need to be able to remove walls mid-game. And so they solve that problem by having the walls be inserts, and they also function as doorways as well. And so I think that's quite ingenious that it's flexible like that and that you're able to remove walls in the middle of the game. The other thing about the walls that's necessary is that the corners don't always match up and they're a little bit offset, and so they have created 2 different kinds of corners in order to accommodate some of that. Now for me, I don't really care about totally matching the pattern that's on the maps, and so even over here you can see that I didn't really follow the walls exactly so that you can distinguish each room. That's all I care about. And I would rather put together the wall really quickly rather than fiddle around and try to get it exactly to match what's on the board. Now they also do have a version where you are printing out the floors as well, and these walls are actually printed at about 80% size of original OpenLock systems. And so these walls are a little bit smaller in scale. So his normal set does have the floors and is printed at 100% scale, which is going to be about 20% larger than what you're going to see here. You know, I really struggled a lot whether or not to go with a bigger size because these rooms are cramped. And if you've played Zombicide before, you know that rooms can have massive numbers of monsters and zombies in each of the squares. And that is one of the restrictions here, because even if you look over here in this room, I would be hard pressed to really add any more figures to this square with the Abomination because it's so cramped in here. I think at the end of the day, when I have an overflow, I don't mind just sticking some of them outside of the wall. But if you really wanted to be able to put as many of the miniatures as you need into a square, you might want to opt to go with a larger option and to print out the version with the floors in them. I like this version because you can put it straight on top of the map, whereas if you went with a larger version, you'd have to make a custom mat to fit everything. And so I struggled a little bit, but at the end of the day, I think I figured, well, you know, I would rather just print these out really quickly so that I can play the game and not mess with coming out with a custom mat. But you can make that decision for yourself, which one would be better for you. I do like the scale of this because sometimes I feel like 3D walls are too tall for you to really be able to see in. And so the scale of this really works out well. And he provides also smaller scale open lock clips in order to put these walls together. And they're very easy to put together with the clips. If you guys seen my other videos, you know I really like magnetizing everything, but in this case, I have no problems just using the clips. And here I have a bunch of other 3D printed storage solutions. This is one of my favorites. One of my viewers informed me about how I can change the colors of my 3D prints, and so I'm really impressed with how this lid came out for all of my cards, and I'll provide a link in the descriptions below with all the files that I used to create these 3D printed aids. If you haven't seen my video yet about how I use Microsoft 3D Builder in order to modify STL files, go ahead and click here. But I use that program to create the stackable trays to work really well with Zombicide, in addition to a number of other board games. I do have a painting tutorial on how I painted up these walls, and one of the things that I really wonder about is, did I overpaint the walls? And what do I mean by that? Typically with my terrain, I like to make them a little bit more plain, because really the center of attention should be the miniatures. You want to showcase the paint jobs that you have on your miniatures. And in this case, I might have overpainted the walls because there's so many details in these walls. I ended up just putting more color on them than I normally would because I wanted the details to sort of stand out. And now that I've put the board together, I sort of think that the walls are more noticeable, are more colorful, and stand out a little bit more than the miniatures do. And typically I want people's attention to be drawn to the miniatures. But what do you think? Comment below whether or not you think I overpainted the walls, or if you like them the way that they are. But I do have a quick painting tutorial on at least how I painted this set if you wanted to follow that. Otherwise, I'm super happy with the added immersion that these walls create for this game. Project Elite is going to be delivering soon, and so I'm hoping that these walls will also work for the buildings that's in that game too. But I'm super happy that I'm able to use these for this game, and pumped about playing this game more. If you haven't already, please like and subscribe. Also check out my Patreon page, because we have gifts of gratitude that go out to Patreon supporters every month, and check out what that gift is going to be for this month. Otherwise, stay tuned for the painting tutorial, and we'll see you next time.